What makes you really, really angry? I don't know. Sometimes we carry around anger. Sometimes we overreact to stuff. Sometimes, but the I think the professional opinion of the mental health experts in the world is that men are carrying around residual anger. We
Hmm.
don't know why we're angry, and our anger is affecting our lives. So we want to talk about it today.
Yeah, for me, it's always the dumbest stuff. It's inanimate objects. I've never been as angry at a human as I have been at you. You set something down and a piece of paper like catches the wind and flies off your desk.
And you lose it.
I want to rip it to pieces.
Now, see,
Yeah,
the paper was an innocent victim in that case, and that tells me that you've got some deep-seated anger, John. Why don't
yeah.
you lay down? Let's talk about
Again, I think we did that last time.
it.
Um, I think this is really important because again, it's a hard world out there for everybody. It's a uniquely hard world for men in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
and that causes a lot of anger. A young guy I talked to mentioned before he's on the job hunt, and it's I think it's soul breaking in a unique way to
Mhm.
get that much rejection and that much silence,
In a
and it makes
short
him
span of
in a
time.
short
Yeah.
span. It makes him very angry. So I think that's going to be a kind of a temptation for young men these days.
This just flew in my mind. I don't know if it's right or not, but I think we are not taught as little boys how to handle our anger
Mm,
and what part of anger is good, what part of it is bad, what part needs to be controlled, what part needs to be released, and how to release it.
hmm.
And I think my theory is that some of the anger we're carrying around is decades old, and we don't even identify what that
No
thing even
doubt.
is.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, John, four quarters. Walk us through them, and then we'll have a little opening shtick.
Yeah, sounds good. First quarter for this conversation is what your anger is really saying. A really powerful diagnostic tool for your soul. Second quarter is winning in the moments of anger. That's some practical tips there. More in the quarter three, 5 steps to process anger in a healthy way. And the fourth quarter, living free by giving and receiving grace.
It's
I
going to be a
love
great
that word,
conversation. Yeah, the grace word.
grace word. I sometimes I just and celebration of disciplines. I'll keep talking about it. Richard
Yeah.
Foster, great book. He talks about in the meditation chapter about just picking a word in scripture or a phrase in scripture and just meditating on the word or the phrase
Hmm.
and just kind of rolling it over. Grace, for some reason, to me is easier to grab onto than even mercy or forgiveness.
Hmm.
Grace is a very powerful word.
It is a powerful word. I like that idea of taking one word or idea from Scripture and just playing around with it.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, John, our opening stick today is if you had 10 minutes to broadcast to our entire country, like every network, every streaming platform, every, you know, radio station, people could not watch or listen. They
Mhm.
are required by federal law to listen to you for 10 minutes. What do you talk about?
Okay, so if this is like mind control, like they can't look away, or like because the thing is, if they can get on their phones, it changes. But I think maybe like it bricks all the phones for 10 minutes too,
Okay, yeah.
so you're just
They
there.
give you their undivided attention for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Then I might honestly just do silence, not a black screen so they think it's broken, but
Hmm.
maybe like a babbling brook, like an old like
But
nature
your face has
documentary.
to be on the screen. That's part of the requirement is
Okay, I'd be
it's
sitting there by the
John
brook.
Ladd. So you're sitting there by a brook and they're just hearing this babbling brook and you don't say a word.
Maybe I want it to be very minimally distracting. So I don't want them thinking, "What is going on?" I want the point. I want it to be clear.
Yeah.
Maybe okay, and there's a banner on the screen. It says 10 minutes of national silence.
Big old John just sitting there going, shh, be quiet.
It's gonna be okay.
Just be quiet
No, I didn't know I had to be on the
with
screen
me.
with me. No, I would be quiet too. The alternative is I would maybe read some psalms or have some psalms read. I didn't know I had to be the one
Mm.
reading or speaking. That makes sense. That's part of
Well,
the
that's
process.
interesting because I would use my 10 minutes to deal with what's pissing me off. So
You got some anger.
I got some anger, and I'm angry that our political world is controlled by mean, hateful people
Mm,
who objectify their opponents and refuse to have an intelligent conversation. They have no curiosity about the views and opinions of the other side, and they're mean and hateful. And I hate that. So I would use the 10 minutes to talk about that. This is every liberal thinks every conservative wakes up every morning going, how can I ruin the country?
Hmm.
And every conservative thinks every liberal wakes up every morning going, how can I ruin this country? And the truth is, they all have ideations about a better country with radically different ways to get there. Nobody's trying to destroy this place. And so I would call us to have curiosity and to stop objectifying each other and to have intelligent conversations about important things with curiosity about how the other person thinks their view is helpful.
Hmm.
That's what I would want. And that would make, I think, maybe half of my anger go away.
That'd be really good for you. I think this is a great exercise in our differences,
Yeah.
because I read that in our outline and I was like, that's so great of you to want to do that. And I just don't have any faith that it would work. It would do a dang thing.
Well, and I would get trolled and hated and,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
okay, do it anonymously, so no one knows it's you. It's just your face, but it doesn't say Jim Ladd,
Mhm,
pastor of
mhm.
Summit Church.
Right.
But it might, that's the thing. People, like we always say, the universe bends to those who take action. They might do
Yeah.
something.
I don't know. It might. When I try to have that conversation with angry, mean, objectifying people,
Hmm.
it bounces right off.
Yeah.
I'm rubber, you're glue, bounces off me, sticks on you.
Well, maybe try it out when you get your 10-minute shot.
Yeah. Okay. All right, John, what's your anger really saying? Quarter number one.
That's a great question. Again, it's funny with me when it's inanimate objects or it's video games. Man, Lindsay had never seen me angry really until I was playing video games, and I learned from the best. I was growing up with Tim, my brother, and the curse words he could come up with in moments of anger are
Yeah.
remarkable.
Yeah.
He's an actual genius about it.
Oh my gosh.
So
It's like a gift.
yeah, it really is. So it's tough because you think it's so circumstantial. Like it's the temptation is that thing that made me angry is the beginning and end of my anger.
Right.
There's nothing beneath it. It's just that thing.
It's that thing.
And that's perception. That's I'm always saying, those are deep waters in there.
And if a
So
beautiful woman that loves you says, why are you so angry? Your answer is, why aren't you?
right. Yeah. So that's a silly example because I do get angry in relationship, but it's so much more complicated, so much
I,
sadder.
I'm just flummoxed by I'm playing video games and I get raging angry. That just seems odd to be playing something that could give you that kind of rage.
Uh, I think all art gives you emotion. So
We're gonna call video games art now.
I think I'm in that camp. That's not the
Oh
point of this
man,
conversation.
you are confirming one of my life beliefs that the mind is never more creative than when it's rationalizing what it really wants.
No, I've got a whole spiel on this. I could get into it, but let's keep moving.
That is hilarious.
We refer to anger as a secondary emotion. Tell me
Yes.
about that. What does that mean?
Well, it means that what you think you're mad at is not really what you're mad at. You're
Mm,
mad at something else. You're mad at something that thing you think you're mad at touched, it triggered, it stepped on it. And so it made you react
mm,
because, ouch, I got a sore right there and you just hit it.
mm,
And so I think that's why it's a secondary emotion. It's, attached to either fear or shame or grief or exhaustion. But there's something there. It's the little toddler. I always think about the little toddler and they're starting to act out. And you say, it's time for bed. I don't want to go to bed. And they're throwing a fit. Well, I
yeah.
think you're tired. I'm not tired. And they are incredibly tired. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what's going on. So I think that's kind of a picture of secondary emotion, that anger is.
Yeah. Well, and that brings it to the excuse me, the potential of anger. So if those are deep waters, there's only a few ways to really get in there. And most of the other ways are involve other people. You have conversations and people tell you your blind spots,
Yeah.
or you tell a story and someone who's trained or empathetic can kind of see the words you're using and can kind of help you like expose some beliefs that you didn't even know you had. But one of the ones that is helpful internally with no other people around necessarily is you can grab that anger and kind of pull on it and see where it goes. So,
Follow
uh,
that thread.
yeah, exactly. So, there's some really common culprits. Some fear or shame or grief, exhaustion. A lot of them are just physiological. So in that way, there's it's a kind of gift in the way that a pain can tell you that something else is worse in your body. It's a sick kind of gift.
Yeah.
But it is helpful.
I think that, uh, you know, in the 1024, we said that anger has three amigos,
Yeah.
little buddies: pride, shame, and fear. And what comes to my mind is, if you were told since you were a little boy, you're so stupid, you can't do
Mm,
anything right. You have this messaging that gets deep into your heart. And then as an adult, something happens that makes you feel like this event is reminding you how stupid you are.
mm.
Now you have an inordinate emotional response to a smaller trigger.
I'll be forthcoming here. So that we've been joking, but this can be serious. Mine, no shame on you. You did your best. Mine, when we were married, when
I'm
me and Lindsay
leaving.
got yeah, when me and Lindsay got married,
Yeah.
it became clear pretty quick that one of the things that bothered me the most was being interrupted, or that she
Mm-hmm.
wasn't listening to me. And I'm a distractible guy. She can be talking to me and I'm barely listening. She has to bring me to, and it doesn't bother her. I have to ask her to repeat herself. She doesn't mind,
Mm-hmm.
because she's an angel. But when she asked me to repeat myself, it would very much bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Or whenever I get the feeling she's not listening. And it was that could be right. You could stop right there and go, okay, John doesn't like I'm thinking for myself. I don't like when people don't listen to me, or when I get interrupted.
Right.
But that actually goes much further down. That goes into feelings of what I have to say is not important,
And I
and kind
want you to
of
know your mom loves you and she did not mean to do this to you.
she didn't really. I think it's being the youngest of five
Well,
siblings,
that
and
could be because, man, everybody interrupts in our family, and
exactly,
yeah,
yeah,
you can't
yeah,
finish a sentence.
yeah. So yeah, it was a what would that be? High competitive for words, low bandwidth. So that's the kind of stuff we're talking about. Pull on that thread and find, oh, there's a wound. There's a wound at the bottom of this thread. That
Yeah.
that these things are triggering disproportionate responses.
Yes, and I think that even, I don't like not be people not listening to me is got even a deeper. That thread keeps going from there to I'm the invisible, I'm the little baby, nobody values my opinion,
Mm,
to hey, I really do have something to say, or you know, uh, I think it's even a deeper message that the competition for words communicated to you as the one who wasn't loud enough and wouldn't throw a fit, so you just didn't get to talk.
yeah, there's a bit of worth stuff in
There's a
that.
label thing in there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So most men react to anger without ever understanding it. That's really the point
right.
of this, is that it's a secondary emotion. We don't understand what's going on. We just react, and the rage feels so justified.
Hmm.
How dare that person do this to me? How
Hmm.
dare that piece of paper fly off that table when I got stuff to do? Dumb, stupid piece of paper.
Yeah.
Inconvenience me. Don't you know I'm a busy, important person and I got stuff to do?
It's not the one piece. It's when this happens, it's everything. It's I said something on the
And it'll
counter and
be
it
a
rolls
sequence of
off.
things. Yes.
Yes, it
And
gets
on
to the point.
those days, I had that yesterday. And on those
Yeah.
days, I'm like, I am not getting on my motorcycle. I will certainly die because everything I touch is not going the way it's supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do understand.
I do. I do.
Help me out here. So we talked a bit about circumstantial anger. So relational anger is helpful with a lot of this. What advice might you give for circumstantial anger, as in I can't find work, the people in charge of this country are idiots and they're making my life miserable and
Mm-hmm.
they're ruining all my potential. I'll never be able to do the things I want to do. I can't get a girlfriend. I'm lonely and I'm angry. What could you give us some advice on that?
Well, I think that, and we're going to get to some ways. These 4 quarters are evolving. They're developmental, so they're going to go better and better with help. But
Yeah.
my first response to that is this new phrase I love: "You're colliding with ultimate reality," and
Mm,
the ultimate reality is you can't control this outcome. So I'm applying for 50 jobs. I haven't gotten a single call back. I've asked three girls out, or I've had a buddy tell me recently I started internet dating, whatever. And the last four of them, he said, 15 minutes into a coffee or a meal, they tell me, just so you know, this is going nowhere.
Wow.
15 minutes in, four in a row. And so there's a lot of anger there. Like, what am I doing wrong? What code
Mm,
have I not cracked?
right.
But I think that what those all touch on is the illusion that you can fix everything or that you have some control.
Yeah.
And I think the level of control that we actually have is so small. In
Mm,
some ways, it's so big. We're going to talk about taking control of your anger. So you have a lot of control in some ways, but on things outside of yourself, you have shockingly little control.
totally. Totally. I
And
think
I
it's
think
huge.
that's frustrating. And the more you want to control, the more you need predictability and control, the
Yeah.
more angry that's going to make you.
Well, and if in a similar way to the anxiety conversation, where acceptance is one of your main weapons of victory against anxiety, it's probably very similar here. That if you accept the lack of control
Mm-hmm.
as just ultimate reality, and that every time you try and buck against that and control people and they don't do what you want them to do, it's going to make you more angry. It's because you are not in the truth.
But I have to pair that acceptance that I don't have control with my belief that there is one who does and he's on my side.
Yeah,
So I that helps me. That's the
totally.
calibrating two parts of that is I don't have a lot of control, but I serve one who does and I know he's for me. So that calms that helps me accept my lack of control without fear.
Yeah, I love that.
All right, let's get some action items, John. Number one, name it before you act on it. So when anger hits, pause and ask yourself, what am I actually mad about? What is making me angry? What am I feeling right now? Do I feel fear? Do I feel disrespect? Do I feel embarrassment? Do I feel loss of control? What is it? Just stop it and name it. And there's
Hmm.
enormous power in naming it. As a
Huge.
reminder, we give you lots of action items throughout the whole episode, not because we want you to take 42 action items, but because we want to seed bed your imagination with ideas so that you will leave this episode going, this is the thing I'm going to do. And it might be one of ours or it might be one you thought of on your own. So don't get overwhelmed by all these action items. We're just trying to seed your garden of thought.
That's awesome. Action item two would be to track your triggers for 1 week.
Mm.
Looking for patterns in the same people that make you angry, the same situations that make you angry, same insecurities. And I would recommend journaling with that, so that the patterns are actually visible.
Yeah.
Because at least for me, it's very hard to just remember why was I angry that time.
Patterns are a certainty. It's
Hmm.
not possible you'll have patterns. It's certain you will.
Yeah.
And I did this when I was in my 20s, tracking an emotional reaction I was having to something, and I tracked not only what happened, but what day of the month it was. And I did this for 60 days, and I
Whoa.
realized that there were also times of the month, they call them man cycles. There were times of the month that I was angrier easier than other times, and they happened to
Wild.
be in the same period of the month. So it's also all the information you can gather of self observation is really really helpful.
Yeah. Is that a moon cycle thing, you think? Like the full moon, your werewolf Jim?
Only the she devil knows for sure. I don't know.
Okay. All right. On to quarter two, winning the moment with self control.
Yeah,
Critical question. Do you control your anger or does your anger control you?
that is the answer. That's the question you must answer, and you must figure out how to answer it the way that you want to answer it. None of us like being victims or led around by the nose or manipulated, and yet we're allowing our anger to do that very thing to us. So you need to control your anger because mature men don't react, they respond.
Mm,
So one of the things in that moment thing, pause. What am I reacting to? I want to choose to respond rather than to react. So
mm.
that if you take that pause and win the moment, we call that moment, the gap. And if you, John, have you been to London?
No, we flew straight into Edinburgh and we went to
Uh,
Scotland.
Man, we got on. We had like a 11-hour layover in London, so we all jumped on the bullet train and went down to London from Heathrow, which is quite a ways. And every train stop, they would say, "Mind the gap," because there's a gap between the car and the platform. And it didn't seem big enough that you could fall in the gap. But this voice every time said, "Please mind the gap." And I like that phrase because when you are triggered in a moment, mind the gap between stimulus and response. We're the only animal in God's creation that has that gap. All other animals, stimulus response. But we have a gap there. So mind the gap. Don't react. Mind the gap between stimulus and response and choose a response.
Yeah, and in the moment, this will probably be something of a muscle that you get to work out.
Yeah.
Because in the moment, it's always in hindsight for me. It's often in hindsight where I go, man, I didn't think there.
Right.
I should have increased that gap.
Mm-hmm.
And that what's that called? Executive function? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That where you get to of the what however it works. There's the Freudian id, ego, superego, however it works. The higher will that you have is not involved in the reflex, in the lashing out right away. You hit there, I hit there. That there's no what maybe levels of even desire. What you really want, if what you really want is peace or reconciliation or love, that doesn't factor into that reflex.
And the hard part is Socrates doesn't shout. So that
Yeah,
philosophical wise part of you that can mind the
right.
gap doesn't raise its voice.
No,
So your
yeah, he gets
emotions
beaten
are
out.
raising your voice. Yeah. So you have to really, I think a muscle you strengthen, John, is a good way to think about that. I have to increase my ability to pay attention in the moment so that
Hmm.
I can take advantage of the gap that actually is there and make it a little bigger. Because, one of the things we will have a lot as men is righteous indignation,
Hmm.
uh, because we feel so right about what we're angry about that it dislodges our uh, capacity to be patient or thoughtful.
Yeah,
Because I should be furious about this. What you just did is so wrong. And so, and the more righteous you feel about it, the less likely you are to mind the gap and feel proud of yourself. Like, so the irony is you're being stupid and you feel really proud.
yeah. Well, there's the so in other forms of anger, there's you might have a reason to dig deep. You might have a reason to suspect yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
righteous anger is the only one where you go, why would I suspect myself? They're being idiots. They're being
Exactly.
evil. So there's no your conversation about the political angst that everyone has
Mm-hmm.
is this. Why
You're
would I
right.
give them any grace? Because they're destroying the country.
Yep.
So I'm correct to be angry. I have no need to investigate it.
Yep.
You know,
You've been married how long now, John?
7 years. It'll be
Uh,
eight in August.
8 years in August. Sue and I just celebrated 42. And I
Shoo.
can't count the number of times where I'm having a reaction and Sue says, "You need to calm down." And I say, "Go tell that moron to calm down. Why are you correcting me when that moron is the problem?" I can't
Right.
tell you how many times early in our marriage we had that conversation. And she's wisely saying, "Get control of yourself."
Mm,
And I am so righteously angry that I am frustrated that she's spending any ounce of energy correcting me instead of joining me in the assault on the betrayal or fault of the other.
yeah. For me
Uh,
recently, that was we were behind a guy, light turns green. A few seconds go by, I do a honk, and he goes, at the very next light, he does it again. And I was like, what is this guy doing?
well,
And
he's
Lindsay
staring
was,
at his phone,
well,
probably.
exactly.
Yeah.
She's patting me on the arm. She's like, it's all right, calm down. I'm like, twice in a row. Yeah, that it happens.
Now I don't tap the horn, I lay on the horn. And
Yeah.
she's like, "No, you don't. Just take a breath. He'll go in a
No.
minute." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Um, uh, this is huge. So we've talked a bit about responsibility for feelings in the boundaries conversation. A great conversation. If you have time later this week, Go back in our YouTube; it's there. I think 10 to 4 just on boundaries. What people do is their responsibility.
Yeah.
How those actions make you feel is yours.
I don't think your feelings are your responsibility. This is an interesting parsing out of this. Uh, Anger is a appropriate feeling at times, and you can't say, "Well, I shouldn't feel this way," because
Sure.
feelings are agnostic. They are just there. They're not declarative. They are there. And I don't think
Yeah.
you can control your feelings.
No, so but to define
Yeah.
responsible, I don't
Yes.
mean that it's your fault or it's you need to control it, but it is your problem. That is
It is,
now,
and now it's your
yeah,
responsibility to handle that feeling
exactly. You
correctly.
can't say that I have to feel this way until they change.
Yeah.
That's making them responsible for your feelings, but you have to be the one that manages that.
And the reason this is an important split hair is because sometimes a guy will say, "I'm not angry. I'm not angry," because he's refusing to feel something,
Mm,
and he thinks he's taking responsibility for his feelings by refusing to have them. And that is not helpful.
yeah.
You need to feel what you're feeling and then figure out why you feel that way and get to the bottom of it and take responsibility for what you're going to do next. That's what a grown man does. A child says, "I don't feel that. I'm not mad. I'm
Mhm.
not tired. I'm
Yeah,
not,
I'm not tired.
right."
Yeah.
All right, let's give you some action items from quarter two.
Okay.
First would be practice the pause rule. I like this rule. Create a rule. I don't respond at level 8 emotions ever.
Mm.
I will not respond at level 8 emotions. So I'm going to hit the pause button, get my emotional reaction from 10 to 6, maybe below 5 before I respond. But it's a pause button. I will not react vehemently. Is that the right word? Vehemently, vigorously,
Uh, yeah, sure. Vigorously, maybe.
violently.
Yeah. Vivaciously.
How many more V words can we get?
uh,
But practice the pause rule.
I like that. And I like that because I've wanted to be this guy for a while that's okay with silence and conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I watched this interview with an author. I think it was the author of Fight Club or something like that. And they would ask him these questions and he would just sit there for like, I mean, sometimes 45 seconds.
Wow.
And the interviewer at first was getting kind of antsy. As the interview went on, he got okay with it.
Yeah.
And then he would respond. I would love to have some of that because that's that gap.
Yeah.
But we feel like any silence is either a threat or needs to be filled or I don't know what.
Yeah.
Second action item would be to use a reset phrase and to kind of have these in your tool belt for the conversation. So,
Yeah.
example would be give me a minute. I want to respond well, but not quickly, or whatever works in your with your relationships and with your
Yeah.
vocabulary. But something that creates space without escalating conflict.
It's great. Let me think about this for a second. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. Third is to delay important conversations. If it matters, it's worth circling back to and it's worth not getting it wrong. So revisit when you're calm and delay the conversation. Say, "You know what? I'm starting to feel ramped up about this, but I really want to have this conversation. I want to take a break and let's revisit the conversation whenever, tomorrow, later today, whatever. But this is too important for me to get wrong. So let's delay this for a little bit."
huge. All right, into halftime. We always recommend books during our halftime of the show because we think all men should be readers, all humans should be readers, but men right now are very bad readers. Statistically, they just don't do it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's one of the best things you can do for your brain, for your worldview, for your sense of peace, for your
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah.
It's huge. So, what do you got this week?
My book this week is a little one. Lately I've been given little books. Look how thin that book is.
Ooh, nice.
This is The Wounded Healer by Henry Nouwen.
I've
Uh,
only read the one now, and I love it. What's this? What's this one like?
and he's one of my favorite authors. Henry, if you're not familiar, was a very famous lecturer, Harvard, Yale, priest. He also was instinctively homosexual and fought that battle his whole life in the honor of Christ, managed it a certain way. But this book, The Wounded Healer, is that the
Hold it
world,
up for us. I want to see
yeah,
this thing.
yeah, there you go.
Great.
Uh, that the world is suffering, men are suffering, the generation you're in is suffering, and healers are also suffering. So, how to be a suffering healer, how to be one who suffers and offers healing at the same time to a suffering world. 4 chapters, super easy read. I've never forgotten it.
That's great. I'll have to read that because I love In the Name of Jesus,
Oh
another one of
man,
his.
phenomenal. Yeah.
As per usual, we've got two varieties of books here. Talking about anger.
What kind of
Well,
bloodbath are you going to give us today?
this one's very tame. This
Oh,
is a
okay.
collection of two stories by Elmore Leonard, The Last Stand at Sabre River and The Law at Randado. The only one I've read is The Law at Randado. They're both, about half of that.
Okay. The Law at
It's
Randado. Is Randado a geographical location or something?
I don't know if it's real or not. In the book, it's in Arizona
Oh, okay.
or New Mexico. But it's an old time Western classic about a young sheriff, a guy named Kirby something,
That's a good
and
name. Yeah.
he's like 20, and he just gets the town of Randado, and the old sheriff everybody respected is gone. He's gone up to the county, and he's alone here. And this cattle baron and his cronies they hang a man
Oh,
who stole some cattle, no trial or nothing, while Kirby's out because they don't respect him. So he comes back and he's got to arrest the people that run this town for hanging these men, these Mexican cattle
boy, what a
thieves,
challenge right there.
and they don't take kindly to it. And he basically it's a great book about leadership, especially as a young man with all these. If you have to be in conflict with those more experienced than you and those that you really respect. He's
Hmm.
dating the mayor's daughter, so it's really interesting. But about anger, it's a total turn the other cheek book. It's a very interesting Western that
Oh,
way. It's
wow.
not about revenge. He's got a lot of grit, but he's more than anything patient. It's a very interesting story. I'd recommend it.
I like that.
Yeah.
When you're in a scenario like that, and I think every young man probably will encounter that kind of scenario where people more powerful than you need to be confronted, and you're the one who has to confront them. And your choice simply is confront them or disappear and go away.
Hmm.
Because that guy cannot remain the sheriff if he can't bring law. It's only going to get worse from there.
Yeah.
That's a real bind. That's a great book. I might have to read that, John.
Yeah, it's good.
The
And Leonard,
Law
I'll
at
always talk
Rondado.
about. He's a great writer.
All right, quarter number 3. We're going to talk about processing anger the right way. If
Hmm.
you don't process anger, it will process you. So, processing anger is not venting, exploding, or suppressing. It's moving from reaction to understanding to response. So, let's talk about John. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think that's huge. You said response there, and for some reason, you read a word a million times. That
Yeah.
one was. Do you think is it true that all helpful processing of anger will include response, no matter whether or not whatever that response is? It doesn't even have to be a verbal one. The response could be "I choose to forgive," but if you've not reached response in some way,
Then you're not
conversation,
done. Yeah.
forgiveness, then you're not done. Is
Yeah.
that
You're
true?
not. That's absolutely true because I use the imagery of tying up all the loose ends. This thing that made me angry has got all these strings hanging down, and I got to identify them, either tie them to each other, make a little macrame, something out of that, do something with it. And if I haven't finished, then it's unresolved. And unresolved means it's going to blow up on whoever steps on it next.
Yeah. Yeah. Or seep out in ways that you don't
Yep.
intend it to,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
yeah.
You just walk around angrier and you don't know why. You get up in the morning, you're furious at the world and you don't know why.
Yeah.
It can really sabotage you. So, John, what we're offering this quarter is a 5-step anger process. So, this is your solitary action step for this quarter. And I tried to put these, John, in a way that you could memorize them pretty easily.
Yeah. I like
So
that.
yeah, so go through the 5 steps, John. These are 5 things you can do every time you're angry, and if you can memorize these, it might help you become aware of the moment, mind the gap, and do these things. So go for it, John.
Yeah. So first is the pause. There, you can't do anything without introducing that executive function into the equation. You have
Yeah.
no, you're losing control. You're ceding ground. Seeding with a C, not with a SE. So something to the effect of I'm getting angry, but don't react yet. You don't have to play the pausing is not saying that I'm not angry, or I'm gonna think about something else, because that's the opposite of what this quarter is about, which is the process. But that pause, introduce that function and do it first.
Yeah, and this is a courageous thing to do. It's a manly thing to do. It can feel like, well, it's not denial and it's not success, surrender. It's not seceding the point. What is that word? What is the
Yeah,
word?
sure. Yeah.
Uh,
Or just seating maybe, but
yeah,
like again with the C.
yeah. It is taking control and pausing. So pause it, name it. Number two, name it. Pause it,
Mm,
name it. Naming it is, what am I actually feeling right here? What's going on? Why am I so triggered? So pause it, name it. When you name it, you can now do something with it because you've taken it from this weird, nebulous, mysterious thing to a thing you can actually look at right in front of you, put it on the table, and deal with it. So pause
yeah.
it, name it. What's number three?
The three is finding it, the root issue for you, whether it's pride, shame, or fear. Real quick on the naming, it was two and three are kind of pals.
Yeah, they are.
Naming it and finding it. The name, I just read this piece about. It would be a huge tangent. It doesn't really matter. It was about a social phenomenon in Japan,
Oh,
and they always in Japan they make these proper nouns for things, even things like shut-ins. We have a name for shut-ins, but it doesn't really have a cultural power. But they make a new word for it,
hmm.
and it has this, and it creates. The article was about how it creates permission, and it creates expectation, and it diminishes resistance. Because when there's a word for that, you
Hmm.
don't fight it because it's in your society. It's now ingrained. So
Okay.
the negative power of naming is very interesting. Here, most often, it's a positive power. When you name something in yourself, the mystery is diminished, and you have a mental grip on it. You can deal with it because, oh, that's that thing. I've found it. I've named it. Every time something else touches on that nerve, I now know actually where that goes because I've done that kind of exploratory work.
That's interesting because what the visual that came to my mind while you were saying that is I have water coming at me versus I have a pipe that busted and I know where the water's coming from.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. The name for that, yeah, is the ground's not flooding. It's not like there's a rainstorm just in your living room.
right.
You could get with all kinds of weird abstract images, but when you know the system, you know where that flood's probably coming
I
from.
like that. So pause it, name it. Okay, shame, find it. You know,
Yeah.
name it. Rage, anger,
Hmm.
frustration. Find it. I feel like I am being labeled. I'm being criticized. So those are connected and they happen fast because they connect to each other pretty quickly once you know what you're feeling. So pause
Yeah.
it, name it, find it.
Yeah. Four is move it, as in move your body.
Mm-hmm.
Walk, lift, breathe. Um, we talked a bit about. I saw this video as a guy who had a lot of anger issues. He was in at one time. He was in a store, a grocery store, and he's feeling so much rage, and like I mean, like seeing red, violent rage. And his buddy says, "Hey, go." There's a. I think they had like a at the time it was like a CVS across the street, and they could check your blood pressure and stuff. He said it's right across the street. Go over there and get your blood pressure checked. And he did, and it was like dangerous levels.
Really?
And so this guy, the whole point of the video was once he got his blood pressure issue resolved, his anger was diminished. He still has some, but it was like the spells, the anger episodes,
Yep.
that was mostly physiological. So this is your body is so important for this. Again, on the health level with blood pressure, but even in dealing with it, and as part of your process, that you have to have a physical outlet.
I think
I
that's,
know.
yeah,
Well,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you
Oh,
go.
only that I know a counselor who all day every day his day job is just hearing people throw their baggage at him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's occupational hazard. So at the end of every single day, every single work day, 5 days a week, he goes and just pumps iron like crazy. He said he has to. He says
Hmm.
he has to have that physical outlet. He has to have something to let off that steam, and he can process it mentally also. But if he doesn't have the physical accompaniment to that,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not going to work.
That makes a lot of sense. I would, where my brain went when you said, the guy's blood pressure was causing him to be more intensely angry than he would have been.
Yeah.
My thought right away, I had these flashbacks, and I've had a day like that this very week, where I have got such a ball of rage inside of me, and I don't really know why, but I'm
Mm.
really, really frustrated. And when that happens now, I don't remember ever choosing this response, but it's my now normal response now. That's it, man. I'm out, and I go get in my
Mhm.
car, and open the sunroof and roll down the windows, and I drive and enjoy the sunshine in my face, or I go sit at a park and just sit there for a few minutes, and it's the only thing that gives me this, you know.
That's
So
interesting.
move it can be to get your heart pumping, get your blood flowing, get your body distracted, punch a wall, punch a punching bag,
Don't punch a wall.
hit a golf ball.
Bad for the
Uh,
wall, bad for your hand. Don't punch a wall.
but also just getting in a different environment
Yeah,
is helpful. So pause it, name it, find it, move it,
move it. And
and
what's number
last,
five?
choose it. And this is where you do have to decide, what am I going to do with this?
Hmm.
Will I forgive it? Will I, you know what? I'm going to set a new boundary. I'm going to keep this from happening again. So I'm going to make a new boundary in my life so that I don't end up right here again and hurt somebody or myself. Address it. Okay, I keep having this trigger, and this trigger is I'm really, really feeling like I'm being judged and condemned. I got to get to the bottom of that. So I'm going to read a book about anger, or I'm going to have a session with a counselor or a friend and talk about, I keep hitting this trigger. What do you think is going on? Or you let it go. You can say, I felt it, I processed it, I realized it's no big deal, and I'm going to let this one go. But you have to make an intentional decision rather than just let whatever happens happen and you walk off like it's just going to handle itself. It doesn't.
Hmm.
So you got to choose it. Choose your next step. I'm going to let go. I'm going to address it. I'm
Yeah,
going to set a boundary. I'm going to forgive. I'm not going to get revenge. I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to confront, but you have to make a decision. Otherwise, it's an open loop. This is a
yeah,
concept I learned from your mom, the idea of open loops. And when you have, 42 different things that you need to get done, you have all these 42 open loops. And every time you get one done, you close a loop and it goes away. It stops bugging you because it's closed now.
yeah,
And so, unresolved, where you don't finish and choose it, it's still an open loop, which means it still has energy and power in it.
yeah. And I think that's just perfect. That if you don't respond, it's not done. Pick your response in this fifth stage of this process. I think that's huge.
Yeah. All right. Quarter number 4, we're going to learn to talk about living free by giving and receiving grace, because the end goal is not control, it's freedom. What we want is to be free from anger. We want to be free from these landmines that we keep putting around in our lives and we step on them, or somebody else steps on them. And so the end goal is for us to find our way to freedom, because anger is not my master. It is a signal and it's telling me something, it's pointing me somewhere. So let it point me somewhere, and let me do that by grace.
Yeah. So this you mentioned this a bit. I think it might have been in quarter one where what allows you to do these things at all to forgive. So all of these exercises, understanding who that people are responsible for their actions, but you now are responsible of what to do with your anger.
Mm-hmm.
Having uh, uh, kind of an understanding of quid pro quo is just going to drive you crazy if you're
Mm-hmm.
just looking at the scoreboard. All of these things and dealing with the process of in yourself. If you don't have this again ultimate reality understanding of grace, that it doesn't that you don't need to crunch the numbers every day and find out who owes you what,
Mm-hmm.
because one, you're bad at that. You're not gonna it's not gonna be accurate.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be skewed towards them.
Yep.
You're not gonna be as aware of the things you owe.
Yep.
And two, that's just hell on earth. Holding on to that with both hands, you
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, that it's worse for you than it is anyone else. Honestly, like it's bad for your relationships and everything, but it's worse for you and
Yeah.
your own peace.
Yeah, because you're a prisoner. You're
Yeah,
you're you're held captive. Uh, a lot of scripture about don't let anything take you captive. Don't give the devil a foothold. And these, there's the idea of strongholds. And so this little thing gets in you and it starts to fester like an infection, and it becomes a stronghold. So
yeah,
it's got to be dealt with. And this is going to require grace, because you have to have grace in both directions. Grace for yourself, Rather than just beat yourself up for the fact that you got angry again, or I keep bumping into this same wall.
Yeah.
But also grace toward others because they need as much grace as you do.
Yeah. And sorry, I stopped early. The reason this is possible is that you are floating in grace. You are, I mean, the
Mm,
grace of God you brought up this image. I think you said it's in Ezekiel of the stream coming from the throne of God, right? And it's a trickle from the throne.
hmm
And the further you get from the throne, it widens and widens and widens till it's an ocean. So the concept being that the farther you are from God, you feel this shame and anger at your own weakness, but you're actually just deeper in grace the further out you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what an image!
Yeah.
What an
And,
image!
you know, the trickle becomes a creek, becomes a stream, becomes a river, becomes a wide river and Ezekiel even says that people can swim in. Like you can, I
Yeah,
picture you frolicking in the grace when you realize, holy cow, the whole world is saturated with the kindness of God and his love and his patience for us. And so, if you can get yourself to the place of recognizing that his grace for you is an ocean and you can swim in it, back
yeah,
float, you know, breaststroke, whatever you like to do in the
yeah.
water,
Well, it,
just enjoying his grace.
and even so, back to how naming gives you permissions to do certain things. Um, um, it's interesting. Forgiveness when I'm angry, relationally, not at this dumb inanimate object, and I get to a point where I'm going around and around. Well, I'm not taking responsibility for my feeling. I'm going, man, why did they do this?
Yeah.
Why can't we just do it this way? Why can't yada yada, shaking my fist in the air, and then it hits me, maybe you know, spiritually, that there is an option of forgiveness here. That the reality of the situation doesn't have to change. They don't have to come grovel and see the things, the
Right.
world the way I see it.
Right.
That I have an option here that is forgiveness. And so then the thing is, the scoreboard actually, at the all said and done, the scoreboard will check out. It will be just because of the love of God and because of the sacrifice of Christ. So it's not like you think, well, that's just not right. I shouldn't
Yeah.
have to forgive this person. But for me, the only way this is possible is faith in the ultimate balance of the spreadsheet. That actually you can't do it, but it will all check out.
God is not mocked. A man will reap what he sows. And so you can count on that.
Yeah,
But forgiveness is really a big deal because, John, when you said, why, but why, but why, I've been stuck on that track where you're just doing laps around that track. I
yeah,
cannot believe they did that. I cannot believe this is happening to me. I don't understand. You can get stuck there. And so forgiveness feels weak and it feels like you are condoning what the other person has done. It's not a
mm,
big deal. Forgiveness is not saying it's not a big deal. It's saying, I'm going to release this. I'm going to release this offense and I'm going to release this person. The best, uh, and I've not had very many cases, only a handful, that, I needed to really work hard to find my way to the ability to forgive. And the thing that helped me the most was to take out a legal pad and actually make a scoreboard. So,
mm,
not a scoreboard like their points and my points, but what's owed to me, to actually make a list of what has been taken from me. So they took my respect, or they took my reputation. They slandered my name. They owed me uh, kindness, and they were mean. Whatever. But make a list as detailed as you can. And this goes to the final words of Jesus on the cross. It is finished is one Greek word, tetelestai, which just means paid in full. So I make a ledger sheet of everything they owe me, and then I decide as an act of faith and trusting God to put an X across the whole list and say paid in full. And that lets me, because when people say, well, I just forgive everything you ever did, well, that's not helpful. You need to forgive
right.
the exact thing that was done. So, what is it exactly that was taken from you, or how were you robbed, or how were you betrayed?
Yeah,
Give forgiveness for the exact thing. And that is not weakness. That is not excusing their behavior. That is releasing it And once you release it, you can be free from it. I think it's a powerful, powerful thing.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, so if you had a specific example that you were willing to share of that forgiveness, there's one story you've told when you were in Deer Lodge of that. But if we have the time and if you want, is there a specific story you have of that?
Well, there was when Sue and I were planting a church in Frisco, Texas. I was 30 years old, and we took all of our savings and all of our retirement account, drained it all out, and started a church with it. And it was slow going. And one of the first guys to come to the church,
How old
just
were you again?
I was 30.
Okay.
Anyway, this guy, his name was Bill. Uh, we did so much for him. He ended up having a daughter get pregnant out of wedlock. We helped navigate that. Then we set up an adoption for them with actually Sue's cousin. Then when the baby was born, uh, mom got to hold the baby. Grandma and mom decided, no, we're not giving this baby up. Dad threatened to divorce if they kept the baby.
Whoa.
It was just hard. The cousins forgave them, let them keep the baby. You know, so it was brutally hard on Sue's cousin. And then after all of that, he turned on me later and became hateful and mean to me. Then he started spreading rumors about Sue and I all over town. Frisco was a small town at that time. We had a mediator come in. We met with him and his wife and a mediator, and he confessed that he had done that and he vowed not to do it again. And within 2 hours, we got phone calls that Bill had just come to their house and told more rumors about us. And I would see his truck in town and I would just get this, I mean, bile in my throat.
Hmm.
I couldn't stand to see him around town. And I went to a Promise Keeper event in Atlanta, Georgia for pastors. And so there's a football stadium, like 40,000 pastors in this stadium. And Max Lucado had just preached an incredible message, and we're all worshiping together. And I hear an audible voice for the first time in my life, and the only time, right behind me. When you get home, I want you to forgive Bill. I want you to repent to Bill and forgive him. And I turned around to see who said it. And the guys behind me have their eyes closed and they're worshiping. And so I just laughed and I said, right. That guy's dead wrong. There's no way I'm doing that. So I get back home and it just won't leave me. So I called Bill up and I said, hey, can I come by your house? I want to give you something. He said, sure. So I drive to his house. I go in the house and he lets me in. He's there by himself. And I said, Bill, I just want to give, we sat on the couch having small talk. I said, I just want to give you something. And I got in front of him and I got on my knees and I said, I'm really sorry for the offense between us. You lost your church family. You lost your small group. Um, I know you lost a lot. And I just want to tell you, I'm really sorry. I repent. I'm sorry. And I want you to forgive me. And he started to tear up in one eye. And then he said, well, I tell you what, I can't find a good church in this town. There's no good preachers anywhere. He starts letting me have it. And I said, well, Bill, I just wanted to come and give you that. And I walked out of his house a free man. I'm telling you,
Wow.
it is the most freeing thing I ever done. And within three
Man.
weeks, he got a job somewhere else out of state and was gone. And it was like the Lord just really rescued the whole thing. But it delivered me from a life controlling wound.
Man. That's the whole thing. It was not excusing him, it was releasing him and really and freeing yourself. It
Yeah,
was
and so
yeah.
I, what I realized, what I started to do was realize everything he had lost,
Mm.
uh, and because I lost a lot, and he took it from me. But I started
Yeah.
thinking about all that he lost as well, because he
That
was a
he
lonely
gave
guy.
up freely
He
in a
did
way. He did it to himself, but
by
it's
his
still
actions, yeah,
yeah.
and he walked away. He left the church, left throwing a fit. Uh, but he lost a lot, and yeah. So that that's the most dramatic example in my life of forgiving somebody who didn't ask for it, still didn't felt like they needed forgiveness at the end, but the action of doing it absolutely set me free.
Man. And the grace there to mourn his own sadness.
Yeah.
There's a in Till We Have Faces, which I've brought up in our book Halftime, but there's a uh, the main character's sister is like the golden child, literally. Like everyone loves her. And she's actually, no, it's the other one. She has a sister, like the firstborn, who's this ditzy. She's a jerk, but she's beautiful, and the
Mm,
main character is ugly. And so she just hates her sister. And their tutor, he says, do you wish you were her? Like, would that
mhm.
be good to you? She goes, no. She goes, that life would be miserable. Having to be, groveling to everybody, looking for that approval all the
Right,
time, getting treated that poorly by men. And he goes, well, if you don't wish you were her, then you should pity her. You shouldn't be mad.
right.
You should be sad for her.
Yeah.
And that's that kind of paradigm shift.
It's a big
Yeah.
turnaround. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until we have faces, I got to read that.
You do. You do.
All right.
Okay.
Final
Action
action
items.
items,
Yeah.
John. We got three. What are the final action items? You go first.
Release one person this week. Not reconciliation necessarily, so you don't have to set up that appointment and have that conversation, but release them to yourself, that you won't carry that weight anymore.
I love it.
Yeah.
Second, replace scorekeeping with gratitude. A lot of what you were talking about, John. Instead of scorekeeping all the things you've been taken from you or robbed, give thanks for the things you have and the goodness of God around you. When you start rehearsing the wrongs that have been done to you, intentionally list what is good.
I love it. Third and final, pray for the person you're angry with. This is hard, but also maybe the most impactful one you can do. It softens your heart without removing your boundaries. So you don't have to give up that ground, um, that might come eventually, but you can stay in your hurt even, and from that place, do the prayer out of faith,
Yeah, for
and that
sure.
it has an effect on you.
Because your mind will tell you, if I pray for them, then I am validating that they weren't wrong or whatever.
Right.
And the reality is, you can leave your if you built a brick wall to protect you from them, you can leave that wall in place while you pray for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well, listen, we are so glad that you spent some time with us today, and we pray that if anger is a residual or a repeating thing in your life, that you take some time and really process that. And our hope is that we've been some help to you. We're really excited coming up last Thursday of May for our next town hall meeting. Really want you to jump in there and be a part of that with us if you can. You'll get a Zoom link in your email. Also, we started a newsletter for parents, grandparents, and mentors of young men. And if that's you and you have not received that newsletter, that means I don't know that's who you are, or I don't have you on that group. So send us a message, info@jimladd.com, or go to our website, jimandjohn.com, no H in the John, and you can subscribe again. And there's an option now there that says I'm a parent, grandparent, or mentor. If you choose that option, it'll subscribe you to that group. That newsletter comes out on Wednesdays, just helping equip mentors, parents, and grandparents with how to be a life giving source in the life of the young man they love.
Huge. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for your time. And yeah, next Thursday, a week from today, we will have our hangout. We'd love to see you there.
Have a great day.